Hi, Ronny. How you
Nice
doing,
to see
buddy?
you guys.
Ronny
Nice
Chieng.
to meet you.
Thanks for having me in.
Of
Good
course,
to see you.
man.
You're at Caroline's tonight and tomorrow.
Yes, sir.
And
that suit fits you like $1 million. I
yeah,
gotta
you
tell you that.
do look
Look
good.
at you.
Thank you. I think I overdressed for this, I guess.
Are you dressed just for the media?
Yeah.
What else are you doing?
What else? This is it.
This is it?
And sway. I'm doing sway.
Okay.
But no, I dress. I thought I hold you guys in high regard.
Oh.
Sincerely, I've been fans of you guys from Australia. Jim. You know the story. And even in Singapore, and Malaysia, I was listening to you guys. So this is a huge thrill for me.
That's
Now, when
amazing.
you were in
Thank
Singapore
you.
and Malaysia, thank
Yeah.
you. Were you doing gigs or what? Or you just your life?
Yeah, I was just living my life in Singapore, and I moved to Australia for law school. Law school in Australia as undergrad. So I moved there as a 19-year-old. And then just when I was finishing law school, I started doing comedy
You
in
did?
Australia.
What kind of law did you want to do?
Man, wherever I could get a job in, honestly. I couldn't get a job. That's why I did comedy. Yeah. Couldn't get hired. It's grades. We didn't have good grades. But if I
you
did,
didn't have good grades?
yeah, my grades were terrible. If I did do law, I'd probably do some corporate stuff.
Okay,
Instead,
but you did graduate.
I graduated. I passed the bar in Australia, and I took the bar in New York because I thought that would be the way to move here, and I failed it. So there
You
you go.
failed the bar.
Failed the bar.
Was
here.
it tougher here?
Yeah, the bar here is tougher. Yeah, the bar here is tougher.
You're not a strong test taker, are you?
No, so I'm already breaking stereotypes. Yeah, not very good at tests and testing. I came here in 2011. That's the first time I came to New York in 2011 to take the bar exam, and I didn't get to meet you, but I was already doing comedy for about 2 years and a huge fan of New York stand-ups, American stand-ups, and so I remember after I did the bar, I didn't know I failed immediately. I didn't know that, so I did the bar, feeling pretty good myself.
You thought you passed?
I thought I passed.
Thought you had a home run?
Yeah, I thought I nailed that
love that.
shit.
Feeling
And then-
pretty good about myself.
Yeah, and then I went to go see, what I really came to New York for was stand-up comedy. So then I went to the Cellar, and I went down. I was there like an idiot. I was there at the door going, "Hey, can I come in?" And the Cellar sold out like every single night.
Mm-hmm.
So the bouncer was like, "No, it's sold out." And I'm like, man. Todd Barry's on like tonight. I came from Malaysia. Do you mind if I just stand in the hallway for like 5 minutes? I'll see Todd Barry's now and I'll get out. And then for some reason the bouncer was like, "Yeah, okay." And he let me
Wow.
do it. Yeah, and now I know better that they never let that happen.
Right.
Never.
So-
He should be fired.
Yeah. And I heard that I was trying to figure out which bouncer that was, and I think he's the one who passed away, Shaq.
Baby Shaq, they called
Yeah,
him, right? Little
yeah.
Shaq. He was a guy who looked like Shaquille. Really nice dude.
Yeah.
I forget what he died of. He was a big guy.
Yeah.
But they called it, was it Baby Shaq or Little Shaq? I forget what the name the
Man,
nickname
you would know
was.
better than me. That's the only time I met him. And so when I came back when I got past at the Cellar, I was like telling all the bouncers that story, all the security, and they were all like, "We would never fucking do that. It must have been Shaq." So and
Yeah, he
I
was a
never got
sweet
to-
guy.
So
Yeah.
what were your first comedy influences? Like how did you even know? Because you said
Right.
you started doing comedy because your grades sucked.
Right.
But how did you know that was a thing?
Well, I mean, when I was a kid, I was growing up in New Hampshire. My parents
Oh.
actually came to America as in their late 30s to go to community college.
From where?
So from Malaysia.
Okay.
So born and raised
Just to go to
Malaysians.
community college.
Yeah, and they went to college so late they had 2 kids by the time they went to college. That's how late it was. So I was like 4 years old.
Oh, so this was when they were in their 30s, not in the
Yeah.
1930s.
No, not
Yeah,
yeah,
okay, yeah.
yeah.
Parents
in
aren't
the
that old.
30s, and I was
Yeah.
like, Jesus.
So this was late 80s, early 90s
Sure.
in Manchester, New Hampshire, and then we would watch
Manch Vegas is what it's known
Manch
as.
Vegas, yes. that's Seinfeld was on, and so he would do the stand up at the end of the show. Not every episode,
Sure,
but he would
sure,
do stand up
yeah,
at the end
yeah.
and be like, "Man, that's awesome. I want to try that someday." And then it took
So
me.
you just saw Seinfeld doing it on the show, and you're like,
Yeah.
oh, people can just stand up and tell jokes.
Yeah. And I'm talking to my dad now, and because he's actually visiting New York, a very rare visit from Singapore. He's actually visiting these 2 weeks, and we were talking about comedy in America, and he was like, "Yeah, I saw Seinfeld on the Carson show," and I'm like, "What, you mean like a YouTube video?" He's like, "No, I remember I was watching Johnny Carson, and then Seinfeld went on, and then." We
Wow.
saw him and he was like, "Who's this guy?" And then my dad was like, "Oh, this guy's really funny." And then he was like, "I should try to watch him live sometime." And that, just seeing the layman process of how people watch stand-ups and go, "Oh yeah, he's how they connect with stand-ups."
Right, yeah.
He
'cause
was,
it's always
he was well known before he did his show, though, Joe. He wasn't a star, but he was
Sure.
pretty.
he did a
was
bunch of Johnny Carson shows. and all
national
that, yeah.
headliner. Like people knew who
Right.
Jerry Seinfeld was, but
Right.
then he got a show and went to the
It
roof.
always is interesting because comedy is such a world like into and of itself.
Sometimes it's sometimes a bubble, not in a great
right,
way. But yeah.
there's always that one sort of thing that's the breakthrough, and then
Oh.
you kind of dip your foot in and then you find yourself in that world. But like obviously for your whole family, it was Seinfeld.
Yeah. So Seinfeld and so watching that was like, oh, that's something I could try. But then I didn't do it for like 20 years. So what the hell, it's not like I did it the next day. I was like 4 years old. Yeah. So it took me 20 years to jump on stage, and it was in Australia when I did it. So
what's the comedy scene like in Australia?
It's good. Jim knows. Jim came down a couple of times. It's good.
I only been there once. I did Melbourne and Sydney, and I liked it. I liked Sydney. I did better in than Melbourne. Melbourne was fun, but Sydney I had a better draw.
Right.
But what about for the locals? Like, cause
where were you?
Yeah.
Well, I was a Melbourne guy, but towards the end of my time in Australia, I was basically touring around the whole country, so it just became like one, continuous city, I guess. But I was going Melbourne, Sydney a lot. But I lived in Melbourne for 10 years. I started comedy in Melbourne, and they have their own scene. They have their own comedy festival. Mm-hmm. It's a yearly thing that goes for like a month. So people you do shows there, and you do like 1 hour shows there. You don't do like 10 minutes. Everyone does like 1 hour, for better or for worse.
It's like Edinburgh. I've never been there, but I've heard it. I've heard that's kind of Edinburgh's like.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
You've never been to Edinburgh?
No.
It's really long, right?
It's like a month-long festival.
Yeah.
I don't know.
At some point it becomes like a comedy marathon, honestly. Like you're just punishing yourself and everyone there.
Oh, you've done it?
Yeah, I've done it like 3 times. Yeah.
So, and you have to, they say sometimes you have small crowds, sometimes a big crowd,
Yeah, you stay there the whole time?
Yeah, you stay for a month, and then you do. So Edinburgh is like the largest live performing arts festival on the planet, and it's a combination of 3 different festivals. It started with the Edinburgh Festival, which was all the traditional arts like ballet and symphony orchestras and all that kind of kind of stuffy classical stuff, which is still awesome. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying that was the mindset. And then in response to that, they created the Edinburgh Fringe, which was the fringe stuff like magic and comedy and cabaret. And they had that, and then that became its own beast, from a fringe thing to its own, corporate thing. And then in response to that, they had the Edinburgh Free Fringe, because they felt the fringe was becoming too corporate, so they had the Free Fringe. And then, so you have literally like 5,000 live shows happening at the same time in Edinburgh, and you've got performers and audience members, and somehow it works every year. You think it's going to collapse in itself. I see Americans come to that, and I mean, it's alien to me too. I'm not from that, I'm not from the UK, and it's Americans will be then like, what is going on here? Like, how is this sustainable? No one's making money, by the way. It's all. In fact, you'll be lucky to not lose money in Edinburgh. But there's something.
Do you have to pay for the rooms yourself, and then and hopefully you make money on the tickets?
Yeah, it depends on your deal. Like if you're a bigger act, you can get a good deal. Where the best deal I got in Edinburgh was, if you lose money, don't worry about it.
Wow.
But if you make money, we'll take half of it. That was the best deal. Yeah.
They take a piece of your money?
Yeah. And the thing is, you have to pay for your venue and your marketing, and that can add up.
Oh my
god!
So this is like one of those.
What's the use of doing it then?
It's like an old school record contract.
Yeah.
They'd be like, we'll sign you. We'll make you a star. And
a little bit of that. Yeah. And I guess the goal is to get. If you have a good enough show that gets enough critical response, that you can tour the show around the UK. That's kind of like the goal.
It's about the exposure.
Yeah. And we think of exposure now as something that's people use to trick people into doing free work.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
But back in those days, as you guys would know, like there was no internet. That was the only way you could get exposure. So it was actually a legit, and you would get onto the BBC, get onto a panel show. They see you, they're like, okay, this guy's on a panel show.
Are they struggling now that people aren't so hungry for the exposure because there's
I think so.
There's YouTube
there's other spots to go?
You go on Twitter, you go on Facebook and have 6 million people see you.
Yeah, a little bit, but then
I can't.
But no, but then that as true as that is, and that is true. That's the case now. When people still go there, comics still go there and perform, and there's something both dumb and pure about going there, and it's not about the money, and it's not even about doing a good show. It's about just doing it. It's almost like putting yourself through CrossFit comedy or something
to prove that you can do it.
Prove that you can do it, and
to have the experience.
Yeah. And obviously, some people go there and have better runs than other people, and actually make money and actually get achieve goals. So a lot of us is there.
So you were born where?
I was born in Malaysia.
Then you go to New Hampshire.
Yeah.
And then how long do you spend in New Hampshire?
I was in New Hampshire for 4 years, and then went back to Singapore.
Okay, so then you're in Singapore.
Do you miss New Hampshire?
Yeah, I actually.
I was just kidding. You really do?
Yeah, it was a great time. everyone's like, I was too young to know Manchester sucks. When I was there, yeah, when I was there, it was awesome. It was, and it's still awesome. In fact, I got to when I moved when I joined the Daily Show, there was a Manchester political debate or something. So we got to go back to Manchester, New Hampshire, and then I went to go see I took video of it. I went to go see my childhood apartment. It's still there, and I went to go see the park I used to run in. Because like when you're 4 years old, the world is like 4 places.
Of course,
it was like school, home, the park, and then the library, and then like a grocery store and one restaurant.
And everything is huge.
Yeah, and everything is huge, and it was just fucking awesome. I remember you could drive home and like not lock your car door. You could run upstairs, and it was like I don't know. I thought it was great. And
right, you're like, well, we got to park here. It's the fucking best.
Yeah, I had a great time.
So then you're in Singapore, and you're
By the way, can I just jump in? What is Malaysia like? Is that like a real conservative religious place? Or no?
It's a majority Muslim country, so it leans on the conservative side, but it's officially secular, so it's not like ruled by Islamic law or anything. It's a secular country, but it's majority Muslim.
Do you go there at all or no?
Yeah. I go all the time. My parents are there. Yeah, I done shows there. I'm from Johor Bahru in Malaysia, so I hang out in Johor Bahru when I'm back whenever I can. Hang out in Singapore and Malaysia. Well, specifically Johor Bahru. It's like Jersey and New York. It's like just a bridge.
I see.
You can just cross. In fact, when I was a kid, I lived in Johor Bahru, and then I would take the bus to Singapore to go to school every morning at like 5 a.m. and just cross. Yeah, you cross countries to go to school. Yeah.
So. Wow. At what point do you find yourself in Australia?
I love how in America it's too many things. Just be Asian.
Right, yeah.
You can't be from Australia and then you're
plus,
Chinese,
like,
Chinese Malaysian.
Seems like there's hints of an Australian accent.
Yeah.
In
I never noticed it until just now.
Oh yeah, it's there.
I've never noticed it. I guess because I'm sorry. I've just always known your voice. So
I've noticed it when you do stuff on like the Daily Show and stuff. You can hear like words that I'm like, oh yeah, that's an Australian word.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
So when do you end up in Australia?
Oh, I went there. So I was in Singapore for 10 years, and then I went to Australia when I was 18 to go to law school.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
And that's when you find comedy, and then you moved to New York
2 years ago. Yeah.
What kind of a culture shock is? I guess you were in Australia. It's like coming from Malaysia and Singapore, where Singapore's a law and order place. And there's no spitting gum in the street.
Yeah.
Isn't that a crime? It's to spit gum in the street.
Yes.
Should be here too.
Yeah. You're not kidding.
Rude people walking up and down these sidewalks.
Sam, I know you're kidding, but it's one of those things where they're just that was where that kid got caned. Was in Singapore. What was his name? I forget.
Michael Fay.
Michael Fay.
Yeah, got caned.
And Clinton stepped in, stopped this douchebag from getting caned.
That was a huge scandal.
Massive story.
Yeah, I think he graffitied.
Yeah, that's
or
right.
on cars or something.
Yeah,
right?
he was spray painting cars.
He got caned, and then Bill Clinton got his caning reduced by like 1 or something. Yeah.
He got he didn't get hit by. He got hit 3 or 4. Didn't he get hit by only a few times?
Sure, 4 times. But that shit is like But
that was negotiated, right?
That's like it breaks skin.
It does.
Yeah, that stuff is not. Yeah, you don't want to.
Do people still get caned?
Yeah.
Isn't that amazing as an adult being like, oh no, I don't want to get a spanking?
Yeah, it is, and also it's also weird that it works. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like I don't want to get caned. Yeah.
Do they cover your balls though, so your balls don't get hit?
That's a good question. I'm not sure actually.
I bet you have to put something on to hold your balls.
There's a doctor around to make sure you don't get. Yeah.
Unless that's part of the thing. It's like you're gonna risk. Yeah, it is. It's your ass getting caned.
No, they don't want to kill you though.
Sometimes you wouldn't die from getting caned in the balls.
You could. I think you could. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I think you could. Yeah.
Ball strike could kill you.
Well,
that's what killed Houdini, right? Punching the balls.
Yes, caned. His balls. He's paid a dominatrix to tinkle on him, and she couldn't go, so she whipped his balls, and he dropped dead. So the whole thing about being caned, I want to see that for a second. How do they protect your testicles when they cane you? Or do they not?
It's a great question.
How long is the cane? It's a big thing, right? And they really wind up and fucking belt you with it.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I've never seen it done in person. I've seen canings in my secondary school in Singapore. People got caned, but with like clothes on.
Right. It wasn't government caning.
It wasn't government caning.
That's different.
Government caning is the MBA of caning.
Right.
Just put government caning, Troy.
Yeah.
Right. It would be like
caning.
It would be like detention is not jail.
Yeah.
School caning is not government caning, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I
exactly.
understand.
That's a great SAT analogy.
Detention is to prison as school caning is to.
I want to see video. They have video of caning. I think they probably do.
Oh my god! I forgot we're on Sirius. We can do whatever we want.
Whatever we want.
Even me talking about this is, I get nervous.
Judicial and prison caning.
Yeah.
You do your bare bottom.
You guys don't know what First Amendment. You know, it's different, man. You guys take First Amendment for granted. You know, other countries, you can't. There's not. You don't know what it is until you don't have it. You know, people complain about First Amendment to be able to say whatever you want.
Right. We're just happy we can say fuck on the radio.
Yeah, that's all it is. Once in a while, we just do it just to be pretty cool.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
can't
just like,
believe
hey guys, we're edgy, we're serious.
Yeah, fuck yeah.
Fuck, it's
Oh,
serious.
these guys are dangerous.
Yeah. Oh, you got to hear this radio. They're saying all kinds of words.
They're not showing the caning. I think I've seen footage of it, but they use a big. It's not a small cane.
It's
not
not.
a little thing.
No.
Right. No, it's not. And also, I haven't done research into this, but there's there's different. I don't know how much of it is marketing, but sometimes they show like a huge one, sometimes they show like a short one, sometimes they show the guy being like restrained onto this wooden. It looks like a guillotine, but it's for your butt. Like I don't know. I don't
So they
know.
can, but it might be so they can just scare you into not doing
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. So I don't know what the official procedure is anymore. Oh man, we can't watch this.
You don't want to watch that.
You can't watch this, man.
They
This
tie
is-
him there. Oh, he's wearing
this
like
isn't-
something over his buttocks.
But this
There's
isn't Singapore, yeah,
there's
Yeah.
a giant crowd.
They're cheering. They're loving it.
dude.
They are thrilled.
They're sold out. They're selling
This
tickets.
is yeah.
This guy's just like, oh, my ass cheeks.
Ronny Chieng, Ronny Chieng's going to be at Caroline's tonight and tomorrow.
You can sell out as much as his caning sold out. Yeah.
Yeah, sure, and hopefully the same result.
Right. I will tell you, though, yeah, that's Ronny Chieng's hecklers.
Yes, he does.
So do not try anything.
How did you get the Daily Show? How did
I was
you?
about to ask the same thing.
Were they looking for people or had they seen you?
Yeah, I confirmed this with Trevor after the fact. At the time, I didn't know. I did a show with Trevor at Just for Laughs in Montreal, and in 2013, and yeah, 2013. And I guess I had a good set. And we met very briefly. We didn't exchange numbers or anything. We didn't meet again for 2 years. And then 2 years later, in 2015, when he got the show, I got an email asking to audition for it. And I suspect it was him, but I wasn't, you
Yeah.
never know. And I asked him afterwards, and he said, yeah, I'm very, huge fan. Undoubtedly wanted to, let some Asian people represent a little bit
Sure.
on TV, which, I'll take it.
Yeah,
I'll
you
take
still got
that.
to be good at it.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
thank you. Yeah, I hope so. And he really empowered. He really had my back, and he really empowered me to kind of do comedy in America. And I was gonna move here without the Daily Show. I was gonna move here anyway. And now I laugh at the naivety of moving to New York
With no gig.
with no gig, and trying to do comedy from scratch, because that is a brutal scene.
Just a
that
guy
New
who
York-
can't pass the bar.
Just a guy who failed the bar exam.
Guys will come up and they'll be like, "How do I get on at the cellar?" And I go, "Oh, you gotta get a tape."
Yeah.
2 guys to recommend you, and then she'll watch your tape. Like that's how it is. It's,
Yeah.
and I'm like, I'm not gonna recommend somebody I don't know.
Right.
But guys
Because
come
that's
up.
probably what they're looking for, right? When they
Yeah,
go,
but if I
"How
don't,
do I-"
I've recommended a lot of people.
Sure, but you have to know them. You have
Yeah.
to actually, it has to be a real recommendation, not just I feel bad for this
Yeah,
guy.
it's your rep. It's your rep as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
plus it's SD. I'm not gonna represent. I'm not gonna lie to her until I
Right.
know someone if I don't.
Sure.
But
Yeah.
it's fun to watch people. You see all these guys outside, like they're on McDougal Street, and they're kind of hawking for other clubs. They're like, "Hey, come on down!" They're like, they're barking,
Yeah.
and that's really paying your dues, man. Guys that stand out there in
Right.
the fucking cold and the rain. Like
But
I
some
always
of-
root for those guys.
But I always root for those guys too. But some of those guys aren't even comics.
Some of them aren't. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, what are you guys? You're not even doing it for stage time. You're just doing it. You're not even doing it for. It's the camp. I don't even know how much money they're getting paid, but
It couldn't be that much.
No,
Yeah.
probably not a lot.
But one thing I love about New York comedy is just the history of it. The history of it, and what's cool is Jim has been a part of so much of that history. And you wouldn't know by talking
yeah.
because he doesn't talk about it a lot. But I mean, unless you
A lot of that. I mean, he certainly hasn't moved on to other things. That's for sure.
From what?
just New York.
No,
The
he was just
history.
saying that you're such a big part of New York comedy history,
Oh,
and I was like,
100%. Travis was talking to me. That's why.
and I
Yeah.
was just saying that you really haven't moved on to bigger and better things. So
Yeah, not at all.
that's-
Yeah, not at all. Yeah, no, I like to just kind of say I'm hanging out like an ambassador.
yeah, Jim's an elder statesman.
But to be the wallfly that Jim was on the history of comedy in New York. Yeah, you've met and interacted with everybody.
Most people,
Not
yeah.
just New York comedy, but American comedy. It's interesting, right?
Yeah.
Like you probably met Gary Shandling.
Gary Shandling, I only met once, and Sarah Silverman introduced him to me in
Right.
front of the Comedy Cellar.
Right.
But I loved Shandling growing
There you
up,
go.
so I wish I would have known him better.
There you go.
yeah,
But yeah, most guys, when you're a stand-up, most guys know each other on some, like it's not surprising when you meet a stand. If you meet an actor and they're like, "Hey, Ronnie," or "Hey, Jim,"
Right.
then I'm like, "Fuck, they know me."
Right.
But if a
You're
stand-up
aware of
knows
the
me, I'm usually
community.
not shocked.
Right,
Yeah, a comic, I wouldn't be.
Right.
So was
Surprised.
the Jesse Waters thing? That was the first big thing that broke for you, right?
I guess, yeah.
Was
I
that,
guess so.
Was that weird that like your response? Because I don't know if you remember, Jim, when Jesse Waters did this. Jesse Waters from Fox News. He did this on the street thing where he went to Chinatown, and he was talking about whatever he was talking about. But the real joke was just like, look, Asian people can't speak well, and like, it was like. I think that even people who are Jesse Waters fans had to look at that going like, even if they weren't ready to jump on and be like, fuck that guy, they were kind of going like, oh, really? Or, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Right. And it's interesting. I mean, as comics, we're like, everything's fair game. So, I guess you're trying to be funny. And then we just had a response. And I was very lucky to be in a position to respond.
Yeah.
And the fact that there was that much backlash, I don't think, I take it as that no one was with the joke and they wanted a response. So I was happy to be in a position to provide that almost perfectly in position, because there's no other Asian on a news satire website to make fun of them.
Sure.
So
did you feel, was there pressure on you after you realized how many people were paying attention to what you said, in the sense that like, I didn't realize I was going to be the representative?
No, in the moment, like again, like it happened so fast. So the day before the news story dropped, and then the next day we went out to film it. And that's one cool thing about the Daily Show. It's kind of like the New England Patriots. You're like, on to the next. It's like, it doesn't. So you're not even thinking about your place in the national conversation. You're just trying to do a good piece, which is, I think, how it should be.
There's too much stuff going on. We're doing a show every night.
Yeah.
We gotta,
and that's the good about the Daily Show. You do a good piece. You pat yourself on the back for about 5 seconds, and then you gotta do it again tomorrow.
What's the next
And
thing?
if you have a bad show, you go, all right, well, we're gonna do it again tomorrow. It's just on to the next. And what was cool is that when we did that piece, I went down to Chinatown to get the opinions of people in Chinatown, which was the whole point, to show that people in Chinatown have political opinions.
Sure.
And I was worried that you encounter a lot of apathy, or just no one would care about it. Man, complete opposite. As soon as I got out of the car, it was like, "Are you here to talk about that thing yesterday? All right, come here." And then they lined up around the block to come in, and give that. So I didn't even have to do anything. It was, everyone on the street was shitting on this guy more than I was. To be honest, I was just like translating at some point. Yeah. Some of these people were like, and then we asked them to speak in Mandarin or Cantonese or whatever they're speaking, because the point being that you can have opinions on American politics in Chinese
without
intelligent
speaking
thought,
without speaking English.
Yeah, exactly.
How many languages do you speak?
I speak 2.5.
What's the other? What's the other full one, and what's the half?
I speak Chinese, Mandarin Chinese, and I speak Cantonese.
How hard is Mandarin Chinese? Like, Gene Simmons is trying to learn it because he just likes to speak foreign language.
John Cena learned it.
It seems impossible.
Yeah.
Chinese is difficult because there is no, and I'm speaking as someone who I learned Chinese when I was 8 years old, so I'm not a native Chinese speaker. My first language is English, so I had to learn Chinese from scratch.
Okay.
And it's difficult because there's no link between the written and the spoken in Chinese. You can't sound it out. You have to just know the words. You can't sound out, like in English, you can sound out the words. In Chinese, you just got to know the symbol. And if you don't know it, you don't know it. You can't work it out. You have to know.
Oh, wow,
it's
that's
pure
really
memory.
interesting.
And I think that memory thing is the reason why I think Chinese people like study better, because it's a memory-based. It's a memory-based language.
Des Bishop learned that too. Travis just reminded me.
Yeah.
But you can't just kind of make it up. You can't half know it and make up the rest.
You can't fake it. You can't fake the funk. You have to know that shit.
Wow.
And,
in America, we can fake everything. I don't know anything.
What's an example of a couple of the different, like I know it's just the voice inflection sometimes will mean something.
Yeah.
What's an example of something, like one word that means a couple of different things?
So I mean word-wise, it's not so much the word, it's the different inflections. So you can go 是是是是 and all those different means
those
different
are different
things. Yeah, those are different. So 是 means 是 means yes, and 死 means die. So you gotta,
So what if you wanted to say yes, die?
Yeah,
是是
yeah.
Sounds like a Phil Collins song. Go ahead, back to you guys.
But I mean,
what do you do if you have a speech impediment?
Well, if you have a speech impediment like me, then you're in trouble.
Wait, do those four again.
是是是是
Studio.
The ears too to pick that shit up. I guess because I don't speak Chinese, but you can tell the difference between them. I can tell no difference.
But I'm telling, it's the same as any foreign language. It's the same as any foreign language. Any foreign language. So if you, I know it sounds like alien to you guys right now, but it would be like if someone spoke Arabic to me or Spanish, I wouldn't get it either.
No,
you
I know.
have to familiarize yourself with it and enter the world, and like it becomes.
But each symbol is a word. Is that what it is?
Yeah, each word is a symbol. There's a symbol for it. Yeah, and then you have to just memorize it. On the bright side, there's no tense, so there's no past tense, present tense. So
that's
you don't have to
dope.
deal with that. You know,
You don't have to conjugate.
Yeah, your
That's awesome.
Your grammar's a little easier.
I hated conjugating in foreign language class. Oh my god, I'd fuck up every time.
I have no grasp of foreign. I took 2 years of French. I know none of it.
Right.
You
It's
barely have
fucking
a grasp on the English.
Come on,
language.
cut it out, Sam.
I'm
Not in
sorry.
front of company.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean it.
Yeah, no, I speak really well.
I love that you changed. You changed
Good to well.
well.
Of course
really.
I did.
Yeah.
As a well-spoken man will do.
That's right. That's 100% correct.
Yeah, and also in a sentence you would never go 是. You know, you never say that. That's just for learning a word. So it sounds confusing there, but it's like I would never go.
Yeah.
There was no situation where you go 是.
You can read it as well as speaking.
I can read one.
But what if
I can
you're going
read-
to say yes, die?
Oh, no. There'll be a different. You need more words to say that grammatically in Chinese. You'll be like,
Oh.
是的，请死. That's like yes, please die. Or you
Right,
wouldn't
you wouldn't
Yeah.
say yes, die.
Yeah, you wouldn't say yes. I'm trying to 是. No, you wouldn't say that. You wouldn't say
It
that.
wouldn't happen.
Yeah, it wouldn't happen.
How do you say
Wow.
yes, please die?
是的，请死. I guess. Would
Can we
be.
isolate that and just have it on our soundboards?
Yeah, I would
That's
love
my
that.
new ringtone. Yeah.
I just don't grasp it. But when you read, does it go right to left or left to right or up and down?
Traditionally it goes up and down, but the modern ways we just go like English.
Right.
We
to
just
left.
go right to left.
And each symbol
Sorry,
is a
left
word. I know
to
that
right,
sounds
yeah,
stupid,
yeah,
but
left
like,
to
you know, English
Yeah.
has individual letter.
Yeah.
This, like, each. All right,
Symbol's
like
a word.
Chinese, like, well, what does that mean? Like, with that top left one, how long does it
top-
take to write? The fuck?
That means the first one on the left says English, and then the second 英语, then second one is 汉语, I think, 中文, and I think it means English and then Chinese. That's basically what it's saying.
What, the top two?
Yeah.
That's English?
Yeah.
With those fucking 3 dots? It looks like the cum emoji.
Eggplant.
Yeah.
Eggplant with the drips
I might
coming
be
out of
getting
it.
that wrong actually. Hopefully no one's checking this on YouTube, because if I fuck that up, people will be like,
How did your parents feel about you doing comedy instead of law?
yeah, I didn't tell them. I just did it.
Did they know that you were no good at school? So
Or do they
this is
still
probably-
they still not know? They're
suspected.
wondering why is our lawyer son on television?
Yeah, they still do that.
I'm
In
the
fact.
I'm the legal expert on the Daily Show.
Yeah. I didn't tell them. I just did it. That's
Yeah.
the tip for Asian kids. Just do it. Don't tell them. Don't even have the discussion. Just do it. And I was lucky because I was living in a different country to them, so it was harder for them to kind of keep tabs. And,
Right.
And my excuse was I was still technically still studying. Like I was still. I finished my law school and I started comedy, and then I was like in the process of passing the bar, which is. It can be 6 months. It could be a 2-year process. I just took 2 years to do it.
Right.
I could have done it in 6 months.
And you got a movie coming out too, right? With Constance Wu.
Oh yeah. Crazy Rich Asians. Yeah,
I
it's
have
coming
such a
out.
crush on Constance Wu. She's
Who's
on.
he?
She's good.
She's a lady.
Okay.
She's on Fresh Off the Boat
Yeah.
on
Oh,
ABC.
okay. Is that the what's the name?
Eddie Wong
Eddie
show?
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the movie's coming out August 12th. The trailer's dropping for the movie on Monday, so check it out. It looks really dope.
Who do you play?
I play the main character's cousin, Eddie Chieng, who is a huge dick, and which is true to character, I guess. And then we're just balling in Asia, basically.
Oh,
That's
that's fun.
awesome.
Yeah, yeah. There's a lot of layers to the movie. I mean, there's the Asian.
I love that you're like, well, but there's a lot of layers.
there's
and
layers to it, yeah.
There's an emotional depth to it that you have to understand.
So it's the story of an Asian American girl who falls in love with a Singaporean guy, and then he brings her back to Singapore to meet his parents, and so immediately you have this kind of Asian American rediscovering Asia layer. You've got the romantic comedy layer. You've got and it turns out his family's super rich.
So that's the ballin' layer.
So that's the ballin' layer.
Yeah.
And then, she comes from a more modest family. So you have that kind of social class dynamic, and also, the family dynamic. His mom obviously is judging her for, her place in society. It's interesting because it showcases Singapore as actual character in the movie, like a Woody Allen film. The way New York is a character in a movie. Because usually when Hollywood shows Asia, it's like where James Bond fucks a girl and then leaves the next day. It's like just literally a place for him to have a one-night stand. But now this is like the whole movie's in Asia. Yeah.
Right.
So it's cool to actually showcase Asia for.
Where'd you
as a
shoot it?
place. We shot it on location in Singapore and Malaysia, which was fun. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
Is it
yeah.
kind of mind blowing to you that all this is kind of all happening at once, in the sense that you got this movie, you got the Daily Show, you haven't been in New York
You're on
all
Jim
that
and
long,
Sam?
I am on Jim and Sam.
You're on Jim, Jim and Sam. That's a big.
I mean, I guess I.
Or you just doing your Daily Show strategy, where it's just like on to the next thing.
Yeah,
like,
I
let's
just
keep
try to
rolling.
keep on to the next, right? Otherwise,
Yeah.
you if you start I don't know. I feel like when you start believing your own PR is when they take it away from you. I think. Right. You gotta just like not believe.
No, I've always believed mine. I've been told I'm garbage, and I've always bought it.
And they'll never take that away.
They'll
from you.
never take that away from me. They'll never scrape the bottom of the barrel and get me out of it.
Yeah, you guys were great. I mean, also, Jim, I always wanted to ask you this. I don't know how personal this is, but like you lost a lot of weight when I first started following you till now.
Sickness. It is. It is very, very. Sick.
Yes, I would look at my co-host and lose my appetite.
You should go on. You should market that. Yeah.
Just saw pictures of your face.
Yeah,
that's the new Sonabella. Yeah. Well, yeah. So you start getting fitter, eating right.
That's all it was. It really was just working out and not eating shitty.
Yeah.
I got tired of it. I got tired of looking a certain way.
Yeah.
Being fat.
I'm telling you, anger is the best way to lose weight.
Best motivation.
Yeah, it's just to look at because that's why I lost like 10 kilos as well.
How much is that in pounds? I know how much that is. He doesn't know.
It's about like 20 pounds.
20 pounds, Sam.
It's about 20 pounds.
20 pounds.
Yeah.
Okay.
You say cocaine? What?
Yeah, that's the only thing I know kilos from. Is just selling coke. I sound like Pablo Escobar was all about his kilos.
I lost 10 keys. Yeah.
I just lost 10 keys.
Well, it's a little different if you say that when you work for Pablo. Fucking lop your head off.
Yeah, I lost it, and same thing. It was just I was touring stand up full time, leading a very undisciplined lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
You know, sleeping wherever you want, eating whenever you want, whatever you want, waking up whenever you want, and then.
But that sounds so great.
It does, but if you're a normal functioning human being, after a while you just go, man, this sucks.
I gotta get my life together.
I gotta get it together, yeah. And then you just get angry at yourself, and then you lose 10 kilos or 20 pounds.
Right.
It's that easy.
I see. Are you off the metric system? Like, do you really
no,
say
I can't. I can't do Fahrenheit. I don't know what the hell's going on in Fahrenheit. Fahrenheit, it's 80. I don't know what that means. Is that? And I have to like look up. Someone tells me the weather, I'm always like, okay, and I look at my phone.
I do the same thing. Celsius stinks though. It's 10 degrees out. That just sounds so terrible.
Well, I don't know. Fahrenheit actually, I've been looking into this a little bit. Fahrenheit really is very stupid. The idea that like freezing is 32 degrees, that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, fair enough. That is an odd place to put it.
It's a dumb thing. Like, isn't freezing in Fahrenheit?
There's lots of arbitrary numbers in America as well. Like, what's the quarterback rating? It's like 216 for some reason. That's the max. Like, it's just arbitrary numbers. Yeah, 32 is freezing point.
What's boiling? Is boiling 100 degrees?
Boiling isn't even 100 for Fahrenheit. That's why it doesn't make sense. What's boiling for Fahrenheit?
I don't know. Can we look that
What?
up? We should know that.
Okay,
I don't know.
Why should we?
Water.
Well, this is why we should know, because in Celsius, 0 means freezing, 100 means boiling.
Right.
And then
that makes sense.
That makes sense.
Oh, that's pretty easy.
Yeah. And we don't know what boiling is in Fahrenheit.
It's 212
See,
Fahrenheit.
that doesn't. And also, there's no. So 0 to 100, it means that 1 degree increase. So you can judge like if 100 is boiling water and 0 is freezing.
Right.
50 is in between, there 40 is in between. Like for Fahrenheit, you don't know what's.
No, it's between 32 and 212.
What's the hottest it will ever get for
Celsius?
Celsius?
I don't know if it's like
50. What is 50 equal to?
What, 50
degrees?
Celsius.
50 degrees Celsius
is hot.
Is
122 degrees Fahrenheit.
Okay.
So it usually doesn't get up to 50.
Okay, no, it doesn't.
Yeah, 40 degrees.
40?
40 degrees will get up to 40.
40 summer. Hot
40's
summer day of 40. But that also sounds lame. Oh, it's a nice warm 40 degree summer day.
Well,
I don't like that.
But no,
I don't either. It's terrible.
Like, it's like 90 degrees. Like, oh,
it sounds
hot.
wintry. How many times have we said that?
Yeah, we don't like wintry sounding temperatures.
Ronnie is going to be, by the way, Caroline's tonight and tomorrow. How do you pronounce your last name? Is it Chieng? It is Chieng. I thought, okay, I had it right, because there's an IE in it. That's why I'm asking.
Yeah.
It's Ronny, CHIENG.
Yes, sir.
.com and at Twitter. And there's 2 shows tonight. I'm guessing 2 shows tomorrow.
Yep.
And The Daily Show, what is your schedule like? Are you shooting stuff every day, or do you write for a few days and then shoot?
Yeah, we're in the office every day, and it really depends on what's happening on the day, whether you're on that night, but we're always kind of prepping for the future, but it really depends on what the story is that morning.
And will you come up? Will you
Yeah.
come up with the concept? Like, I want to go out and do a field piece on this.
Yeah, we'll come up. I mean, whether it gets approved is another matter.
Oh.
I got approved, but I'll pitch for myself. If stuff I feel passionately about, I'll pitch for it. Other people in the show pitch for it. I don't know what SNL is like, but the Daily Show is a very collegiate environment. I bring up SNL because I don't know if it's I hear SNL is a little bit more cutthroat with that stuff,
yeah.
but the
Well, I
Daily Show
guess
is very
SNL,
collegiate.
you have an hour and a half a week, and stuff is getting cut, and blah, blah, blah. It's only a certain number of things. Whereas, like you said, on The Daily Show, there's
every
another
day.
show tomorrow, there's another show tomorrow.
Right,
there's
I
another
guess
show
so.
tomorrow.
Yeah. But they really have a really good like friendly environment. It's everyone there. Like if you're a piece of shit at a Daily Show, you stick out like a sore thumb.
Unless everybody's talking shit about you behind your back.
Maybe I'm the I'm the fucking asshole.
You're
in
the
show.
asshole.
Yeah, I'm the biggest dick there. Yeah, but
if you think everybody gets along, a lot of times it's because you're the asshole.
Thanks, Sam. Yeah, maybe that's the case. Yeah, I just thought everyone at the show was very friendly, but you can tell like because I think it comes from Jon Stewart because I met him a few times and the way he built the show was he was also a very down to earth guy. He doesn't make a big deal of he's not a showy dude. He's just very much about the work. Yeah. And that has been reflected in everyone he hires,
Yeah.
That reflect that kind
and
of
that was
mentality.
passed down.
Yeah, you can tell. It's so obvious when you go in the building. It's very
Yeah, I mean, that's if the goal is just for everybody to do a good show.
Yeah.
Well, it's because there's one host too, and I think the idea of that is when you have one host, everybody is kind of knows that host is the star of the show. Everyone's not competing for the same amount of airtime.
Okay, sure.
SNL is a much more
everybody wants to be the star.
Yeah, and
there's an established star of the Daily Show.
The stars change from sketch to sketch.
Right.
Whereas with John or Trevor, even when you're on, he's still the head of the show, the face of the show.
Sure.
Maybe that's why it's a little less competitive and more like let's all work
Maybe,
together.
yeah, but it's a real supportive environment as well. It's like people pitch for me, other correspondents pitch for me, which might be you could argue it's against their interests because they should be pitching about themselves. They pitch for me, I pitch for other people. There's no like I don't know. There's never any like if someone we always want to find the best person to do that job. It's never like I want to do that.
Have you ever had a person come in like clearly just about themselves and then you had to get rid of them or whatever?
At the Daily Show? Not since I've been there.
Wow.
Not since I've been
See,
there.
I'd pitch for you, but I would do a poor job. Like Ronnie wants to go out and do this thing where he wants to speak about how Asian people speak English in response. If you guys want to do that, I mean,
I don't know if it'll work.
It could be interesting though to get it because he should be doing it, and
Asian, I don't
But it could be
disagree.
interesting to get another perspective. What if a white guy went in and did it? What if somebody like you're just pitching yourself?
You pitch yourself with his bit.
Right.
He has a great idea. I mean, some people would think, well, white guy should do it.
How about this? Let's get a white guy to do this.
Right.
Yeah,
then you go to Ronnie and you're like, I don't know these guys. They don't know what they're doing. They want me to do it. I don't want to do it, and I told them I don't want to do it.
Yeah.
But they're the boss. I'm gonna go out and do it. What
my
can
hands
I?
are tied.
Yeah.
I can't do it. I guess I gotta go speak Chinese in a bad accent.
I would pitch.
Guess I'm gonna go do your bit.
I would pitch you so shitty just because I wouldn't want them to go through. Ronnie wants to do this thing where he talks about Asian people talking. Like, I can't believe what a bad idea it is.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But you won't say it. You'll never say it's a bad idea.
Never. What are they going to say? Jim made a face? They'd be like, no, he told us about it.
Yeah. And then they'll go like, oh, that's a great idea. And you'll go, yeah, I mean, I know. That's what I'm saying.
Great idea. Yeah.
He wants to talk about Celsius in Chinese in America. I guess, I don't know. I guess that's what he wants.
Very weird. I don't know. It's got a... It's a weird one. I like him. I love him.
I think that's probably
a
a better way to be. Is everybody supporting you?
Of course it is.
But you get 4 nights. What do they do? Monday through Thursday there? Or is it Friday?
Monday to Thursday shows and then Friday half day.
Okay.
So it's the best job in comedy. It's the best job in comedy. You can tour.
Yeah.
You can at night the show finish taping at 7:30. You can go do spots around New York.
And you're not always gonna. What time do you get to the office in the morning?
I get there about 9:30.
So you're not always gonna be in the office, or are you there every day?
I'm there every day unless I'm out shooting. Yeah, unless I'm out shooting.
What's better than a nice late call time for shooting?
Man, doing stand up. That's
Yeah.
No, but isn't it great when you get a late call time, like when you know you got to get up and they're
Ronnie
like
is
10:30?
not-
No, fuck
He's
it.
not lazy like you.
yeah.
It's not lazy, Sam. I'm fucking not helping people all night.
Chasing down buses that you think might be stolen.
That was a waste of time. I was cruising around looking at ladies of the evening, and I happened to notice that.
One time, Jim was driving around looking for
I'm a fool.
hookers,
I'm a
and he
fool.
saw a public bus that said, "What? What did the light say?"
I believe this bus is stolen.
No, but what did the light that you saw on it say?
I think it said stolen bus, or
Call help, didn't it?
yeah, one of those things.
Yeah. And Jim followed a public bus around.
What, on foot?
No, in his car. He just drove around with it for a considerable amount of time.
Wow.
I called the 911. And yeah,
He called 911 on it. It wasn't a stolen
It
bus.
was so stolen. They actually caught that guy doing something else years later. I believe so. People followed up with that.
I don't think that's true at all.
It is absolutely true.
Then why was there never a story about a stolen bus?
Because it's not that big a story.
It's a huge story. Somebody stole a bus.
What time? What day? What
It was
year
in
was
the
this?
evening. I don't remember.
Like late night or
It
what?
was nighttime.
All right.
It wasn't a stolen bus.
Was a stolen
It would
bus.
make news if somebody stole a bus. Ronny,
man.
you'd be interested if somebody stole a bus, wouldn't you?
I forgot you guys are big on Reddit. Yeah.
Oh, they love us.
Yeah.
They're probably love you too.
Oh,
yeah.
I don't know about that.
Yeah. They love multiculturalism.
Yes, they do.
It goes over big.
Yes, that's Reddit's biggest thing. They're like, inclusion, goddammit.
You know, dude, I swear to God, this is my first piece on the Daily Show. First time I was ever on the Daily Show. I was so excited, you know, and I thought it went well. And I made a mistake of going to the Daily Show subreddit.
Oh no! Why would
Was
you?
it positive? Your commentary?
Oh, and I have never been back to the Daily Show subreddit since then. Since that first show.
Well, do they trash Trevor too? They probably bash him too.
Like I said, I'm not just saying this to be cool. I genuinely have not. I've managed to not go back to the Daily Show subreddit. I don't know if that's trashing him, but that first one was like, oh, these guys are not friendly dudes.
No,
Well,
it's not. It doesn't help anything.
Criticism is okay, but the thing is, you can't let criticism. If you think you did something, like if you were really confident and comfortable in something, and the criticism doesn't make you doubt it, then fuck the criticism.
Right.
But if the criticism makes you go, fuck, is that a valid point? Sometimes it's a valid point.
Well,
it's hard to distinguish.
It's hard to distinguish, but I think
And when you have something like Reddit,
yeah,
where it's like this is just a place where they're shitting on you,
yeah,
and you're like, oh wait, I thought this was the place that likes me. When there's no other side,
Right.
you're just reading the criticisms.
right.
That's when it becomes unhealthy.
Here's my thing about criticism is that the people criticizing, you need to be qualified to criticize. That's it. You gotta be unqualified. Criticism is fucking pointless because you don't know, you don't get it, you don't know what's going on, you don't get a context. If you know, even if we're talking about comedy or stand up, like there is no way that if you've been doing stand up at a high enough level, you know what you did wrong. Even if you did something wrong, you know what wasn't good, what wasn't good. You know, I don't see any benefit of listening to unqualified criticism.
I don't know if I agree with that. I'll tell you why. Because it depends on how they're criticizing. But if someone who's never done stand-up is going, the way he structures a joke or comes up with a joke is incorrect, then you're right. Then fuck them. They don't know how to come up with a joke.
Right.
But if I'm an entertainer and I do a radio show and people are like, your radio show sucks.
That shit is not funny.
Like, I have to kind of accept that because if people say your radio show is great, I've never said, hey, you're not qualified to make that judgment. I've always said, thanks, great point.
Sure.
Or if they're like, you're really funny, I always go, thanks, glad you enjoy.
Sure. I mean, obviously.
I prefer the positive stuff.
Yes.
That's for my preference.
Yes.
Right. But don't you feel like at some point you know what was good and what wasn't good, and even things which people don't like, you can still stand by and go, yep, I know why you didn't like that, but I also know why we had to do that. I know why it's good.
It doesn't mean I'll back off what I did because they didn't like it.
Sure.
But the criticism is not always. Sometimes it just annoys me because I don't like it because I think they're cunty.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of times that really is just it. Someone's being cunty, I don't like it.
Yeah.